Holes was a time in my life when I was going back and forth from Nashville, Oklahoma, and Florida. I was down in Florida for 2 months, welding and all that good stuff with my uncle and my father. And when we were told we were going to make a whole bunch of money down there, it turns out it just ended up being a vacation and also a lot of debt. I seem to find that guy a lot. But yeah, I was having the struggle of trying to make a dream come to life, but at the same time knowing that there's no money in it. And I was tired of not knowing when I was going to be able to have the next paycheck. You know, a lot of people out there live paycheck to paycheck. And that's really where I was, where I couldn't even buy a 24-pack of beer. And that, you know, man, that sounds real bad. You know, people got it way worse out there. I understand. But it was just a realization of sitting there in that Airbnb. It was a week-long deal with a whole bunch of TikTokers and a whole bunch of pop singers. And I just didn't know how to, I guess, fit in, which I've never been able to fit in either. I mean, all my life.
Yeah, so, you've been the wildcat.
Yeah, I've been the wildcat, so it's just been kind of difficult, I guess. And being there all that week, and then having my uncle and my dad calling me, going, "Well, Kuka, you're missing out on a lot of money." And then I get back, and there's no money. It was just kind of like getting pulled every which direction, and no answers were really coming out of it, and no success was either.
No money.
And definitely no money. And I had started writing the first verse, and I was sitting there, I think, with Austin and Tyler and Andrew. And I was just sitting there fiddling picking on some chords, and then I wrote that first verse. And then Andrew looked up and he goes, "Did you just write that?" And I was like, "Yeah, man." And he goes, "You little prick."
That lightning strike of inspiration. I mean, you know how it is. I mean, were you just sitting there and it just hit you like a bag of concrete?
Yeah, pretty much. I was already down in the hole of a little bit of depression and just kind of sitting there with a whole lot of thoughts and not feeling any movement in life. It was like I've quit a lot of things already just to try and go somewhere, and it feels like we're just going backwards. Yeah. And so the next day, I was supposed to do some other activities with some of the people that were there, and I just couldn't bring myself to do it because I was like, I don't have any interest in that. Yeah. And I just went straight up to my room, and I tucked myself into bed, and then I wrote the chorus and the second verse after that. But then the third verse came up, and I had taken a small break, gotten out of bed, and I was looking out the window, and then that's when I seen just grass coming up through the concrete. And then that's when that line came to me, you know, does time really move that fast? Because I've watched concrete turn into grass. And man, the song has so much meaning, and that's the weird part about the songs that I write. Like Traveling Kid used to mean something to me when I first wrote it, and now it has a whole nother meaning to me now. And for Holes, it was just about the time where I was, and then it made me have like this ongoing overlook of my family and the generations that have come before me, and how broke they were trying to make money and trying to make the American dream happen. Yeah. And my grandparents, there's another song, you know, Life Lessons, that's going to be on the album, and Grandpa dropped out of school in the 5th grade. Grandma barely made it past the 8th, and they were immigrant workers. They picked cotton and tomatoes and everything else down there in South Texas, and then hearing stories from my dad. Anytime they'd go on vacation, either to California or Florida to see the other family members, they actually didn't really go on vacation. They actually went there, and then the kids would also pick tomatoes and cotton and everything else. And it was just, I mean, they didn't know any better. They were kids, but my dad would tell me stories about how they had these little gold coins, and you had to fill up the entire tote full of tomatoes, and then you know, as a 5-year-old kid, you're just dragging that thing to the truck, and then they give you a coin. And
what's that worth?
Not much, not enough, and that's what they did, you know, and they didn't know any better, and Grandpa ended up going off to fight in the Korean War just to try and kind of make some money and do something besides sit around in the fields, and then he came back and he started building dams for the government, and every 2 years they'd move, and you know, my dad wanted to go to college, and they're like, well, good luck, have fun paying for it. And he was lucky enough to get a scholarship to go to Panhandle State for 2 years, paid for. But when it came to me going to college, he was very stern with me as to not giving up.
Yeah.
Because he wanted me to not fall into the same system, which I was going to. I'd made up my mind that I was going to go into the workforce, and I was going to go get a job at OG&E power plant up there at the Sooner power plant, same spot my dad worked. And you know, there's so many people out there that do the exact same thing as their fathers. You know, and the cycle goes on and on and on. And I think it's kind of funny how Appalachian, you know, they all talk about the coal mines, and that's kind of the same way it is back home, just because it's a coal power plant. It's just kind of amazing how you kind of watch what other people have done and the dreams that they turned down. And at some point you go, all right, I'm young, I might as well do something that I love, and not, like, if I don't make money, I don't make money. As long as you're not working the 9 to 5 that you constantly want to shove your head in a door, you know, or with a keyboard and just pop, 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 you know, like, at least do something that you love, which I pretty much all I talk about. You know, I didn't make a whole lot of money farming and ranching on the weekdays and then go play music, but I made enough to keep me alive, and I absolutely love that part of my life. But I'd rather be surrounded by people that I want to be around, and at least make a decision of, okay, what's actually going to make me happy. I got to take care of myself so that way I can take care of others, and one of the biggest things is self-care. I mean, I've been having to learn a lot more about myself and really try and figure out what makes me happy, because there for, you know, the last 10 months, year now, I quit everything. All it was music every single day. I gave up a part of my life and just to grind and try and make something happen. But now I'm at a point where it's like, okay, I've done the work, now it's time to figure out how to keep my head screwed on straight and still be the same me. And for a while there, it was RC cars and the apartment, and I don't know why, but that put a smile on my face more than anything at the time. And
it's simple.
Yeah, and then now it's sitting in the backyard doing absolutely nothing. I find myself watching birds and drinking coffee and doing nothing else in the mornings, and for some reason that is the most peaceful thing.
Well, dude, you're doing so much for other people. I mean, you really are. Like, I don't say this about every artist, but like, you give so much of yourself. I've seen the meet and greet lines. I've seen the way you dig into those comments and try to give everybody their moment. But if you don't give the moments to yourself, you can't sustain the moments for other people.
Yeah.
I mean, it just always goes back to that.
That's always, here we go. Waves going in. By the way, we're on a boat. Anyway. But, I really, oh man, I just about lost my train of thought right there. Oh yeah, so another big thing for all the listeners out there, if you do send me a message or anything like that, and I don't get back to you in 3 weeks or maybe it's 2 months, it's because I will not respond to you if I'm not feeling genuine. That's one of the biggest things that I've made a promise to myself, that I will sit down and spend 6 hours going through as many comments as I possibly can and messages, and I can't thank y'all enough for sending them to me. But if it feels like I take forever, it's because I don't want to be ungenuine to you.